He made it.
Yes, I did.
Better late than never. Oh, you're not late.
I'm not late. We're already live.
Yeah, I was doing a little advertising for my wishing machines. I'm running a holiday special. So we are live as we speak. We are broadcasting at this very moment. And we got a pretty interesting. First of all, there was a story that included a video. That's been a few years old now, but this thing went viral and this was very strange. Kevin is going to share that story with us. He may even share the video. And so you may have seen it, you may have not. Either way, it's a very strange and mysterious thing. And how this woman ended up where she ended up, no one knows. But it. So to tie in with that, we're going to talk about some alien abductions, and one of the biggest cases of UFOs in Alabama. And it was easy for me to remember this because it happened up toward Gunnersville in a little town called Fife. And I always thought, because they had interviewed the police and whatnot, and I kept thinking about Barney Fife. So anyway, we're going to talk about some UFO stuff. We haven't covered much as far as aliens is concerned. And you can look at us, and a lot of people would suggest that we're not from this planet. So who knows? Maybe you're watching and listening to two aliens. We've come here to spy and see what we can gather. But I don't know about Kevin, but I'm about ready to leave. Right? There's nothing to gain from this planet.
Not really.
So my Abnormal Alabama, we're streaming on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Kevin is myhauntedDolls.com. He's written a couple of books. You're working on the 12th one, aren't you?
Yeah, in fact, I'm on the last chapter of that book.
Oh, you're getting close.
So all I got after that's just the about the author section, and then I can shove it right on out there.
Shove it on out there, okay.
Shove it on out there.
So you can learn about all his books right there on myhauntedDolls.com. Plus, he does a lot of his own kind of podcasts and storytelling and EVPs. He's got all these dolls in his house, and not a lot of people talk to Kevin, so he talks to his dolls all the time. So let's get started here with the story that you were talking about earlier today.
Okay.
You want to share that video clip?
Yeah. Let me go ahead and pull that up.
So if you've seen this, it's still mysterious. It's still worth watching again. It's been, how old is this? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, it wasn't that long ago.
You're getting old, Kevin.
They should give that information in the video, but it happened within the last 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but it might have been 2000. Well, it might not have been that long. It might have been 2015 or around in there.
Well, when it first came out, if you're like me, you really studied that video, and it was just really okay. Don't run with it. There's no point in talking about it.
Okay. Well, all right. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared here, and we'll do that. This is the curious case, the bizarre death of Elisa Lamb. I think it's pronounced Elisa Lamb. I may be wrong with that name pronunciation, so don't kill me on that. But let me go ahead and share the screen, and we'll just let the video do the talking for a minute. Here we go.
Oh! All right, let's fix the camera. So today we're driving to the Stay on Main Hotel, or as it was formerly known, the Cecil Hotel, as part of an ongoing series where I tell this guy true crime stories. And today we have the privilege of actually going there because it's in LA. And this place happens to be the site of one of the most bizarre mysteries I've ever read. All right, so we're in our hotel room now. I guess it's time to tell this story.
In a giant red chair that's shaped like a hand.
So on January 26, 2013, 21-year-old Canadian tourist Elisa Lam checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. On February 19th, 18 days from the last time she was seen, Elisa Lam's body was found naked and floating in a 4-foot by 8-foot water tank on the roof of the Cecil Hotel where she was staying.
This sounds horrible.
You want to know what it was that led to her discovery? It was hotel guests complaining about the low water pressure from the hotel.
Yikes.
One couple after the fact reported that the water would come out black before normalizing and that it had a bad taste, but didn't complain at the time because they thought that was normal for LA.
Are you going to drink the water?
No, I'm not going to drink the water. No, don't drink that. Come on, man.
Cheers. You're a savage. Tastes clean?
I mean, it has been 3 years. It tastes just like water, but it's too much for me to bear. I can't. Plus, there's like this weird fucking water pipe thing going on up here. Another interesting piece of info is from a statement from the hotel manager. And apparently, when Elisa checked into the hotel, she was originally in a hostel-style shared room, but later was moved to her own private room due to complaints from her roommates of odd behavior. It turns out the last time she was seen was actually on surveillance footage from the hotel elevator. I'm going to show you the key points of it.
Show me. There's footage.
Yeah, what you're about to see is
I don't want to see. Is there dead? I don't want to see anything.
No. It's weird. I'll tell you that. It's weird. All right, so this is the surveillance footage from the elevator. This is the last time she was seen. So that's her. Like, why is she? It like looks like she's hiding. I'm not sure what.
Looks like someone was chasing her, but I feel like you wouldn't get out of the elevator if someone was chasing you.
I mean, she appears to be moving her hands in like a really weird, inhuman way. Like,
How is the elevator doors not closed yet?
I have no idea. It almost looks like she's talking to somebody right now, right? Does it not look like she's talking to somebody directly in front of her?
Yeah. I mean, not directly in front of her, down the hall, but I mean, there's no one in front of her, so. Yeah,
That's the video. I mean,
Point one, that's strange. I'll give you that.
Super strange, right?
That doesn't really give us any information.
I mean, it gives you some theories, though. One of which was she was on hallucinogens or drunk. And while Elisa was, in fact, bipolar and reportedly took 4 different medications for that disorder, this theory that she was on hallucinogens or drunk was quickly rebuked by the fact that her toxicology test results came back with nothing in her system that could have...
That if she's bipolar just right there, that could explain why she was doing that.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Another theory was that she was actually murdered, but the autopsy showed no visible signs of trauma on her body. So if evidence suggests that it wasn't foul play and that it wasn't drugs, many wonder what could have like led Elisa to actually climb in the tank herself. And that's a good question because nobody knows even how she got up there. I mean, in fact, to get to the roof, Elisa would have to either A, climb up the fire escape, and there's 3 at the hotel, but you'd have to go out a window to do that.
Mm-hmm.
B, go through a locked rooftop door that would set off an alarm if open, and no alarm was heard that day. Once she even got up there, which at this point, after seeing that video, I think it's highly unlikely she was able to do that. But okay, fair enough. She got up there somehow. She would have to get on the tank platform, climb up a 10-foot ladder, open a 20-pound lid, get into the tank, and somehow close the fucking lid after she got in. And then you also got to remember she was naked, so that means she either took her clothes off before,
or the clothes never found.
The clothes were found in the tank, so she must have taken the clothes off in the tank,
or they were thrown in.
Or they were thrown in, exactly. Yeah, this whole scenario to me is fishy.
Yeah, definitely fishy
for her to have done that all herself. Another popular theory, you're not going to like this, but I have to say it, is ghosts. If you look at the video, it appears as if Elisa is talking to someone right outside the elevator, which has led some on the internet to believe that she's talking to the ghost of serial killer Richard Ramirez, who was convicted of 13 murders and stayed in the Cecil Hotel from 1984 to 1985. It's also worth noting that Ramirez was a known Satanist.
Absolutely not.
So you're saying you don't think there's even a little bit of a possibility that this place is a little haunted and it could drive people to do some crazy shit?
To me, it's basically like saying, so you don't believe there's a middle possibility that the spaghetti monster did that? You know, like
there's no recorded history of a spaghetti monster. I don't know where you're getting that.
Show me the scientific journal.
This, and it's been a while since I've seen this, but outside of the obvious things, when she got in the elevator, you can hear me now? When she
Yeah.
got when she got in the elevator, it looked like she was punching more than just one number, to go to whatever floors. But I rode an elevator today. I've ridden all kinds of elevators. That door does not just stay open.
No.
And that door, without her interfering, that door stayed open just whole time. So there was clearly something very weird, strange going on. Of course, she was standing there like she was saying, whatever,
Yeah.
What do you surmise out of that? Do you think it was?
I don't know. That whole thing of her standing outside and she's talking to somebody, doing her hands, and if you notice, it's not like she's looking straight. It's like she's looking down, like if there was a child there.
Mm-hmm.
But so could it have been something to do with a ghost? And the fact that after she leaves, the door, I don't know if they showed it all there, the door closed and then it opened and nobody was there, closed, opened and nobody was there. And this is after she had already walked away.
Right.
And so bizarre activity for an elevator. Now he mentioned ghosts, and I know when I first heard about this, a game had come along not too long before called the Elevator Game, and it's just all over the internet. There's YouTube videos about it. In fact, there's YouTube videos of people playing it, and that's where you go into a tall building. There's got to be at least 10 or 15 floors to it, like a hotel. And they claim if you do it, you'll get it. Some say you'll get a glimpse into another reality, an alternate universe. And some say you're getting a glimpse of the other side. But they say it has to be a public building with at least 10 floors and an elevator, of course. And when you get on the elevator, the players need to enter the elevator, press the 4th floor. Do not proceed if someone enters the elevator or one of the players leave the elevator. If someone does that, you have to go back and start from the beginning. But you press the 4th floor, and then you press the 2nd floor. And then after that, when you get there, you get to the 6th, you press the 6th floor. And then after you've done that and it gets there, you press the 2nd floor again. And then you press the 10th floor. And then finally you press the 5th floor. Now this is where it gets creepy. If a woman, and they say you might see a woman, a spirit woman, enter the elevator at the 5th floor. If she does, do not look at her, do not speak, and don't talk to her because that woman is not human. If you do, she will decide to keep you for your own. At that point, you press the 1st floor to go back down, and you leave the elevator and do not look back. So other versions say when you get to, I think, the 5th floor, you also, if you look out, you'll see an alternate universe. If you try to get off before you end the game, you're going to wind up in an alternate universe. So it's really bizarre.
Well, here's the thing, though. She was by herself. The elevator never went anywhere. So it wasn't like she was, playing that elevator game.
Some people tried to say, well, that must be what she was doing. That's why she's talking to people you can't see. But I don't see a different floor there. It never leaves.
No, the doors never closed while she was on it.
No, not really.
I mean, that would, before elevator's going to move, the door's going to close.
Yeah.
But it goes on from there, just like they said. I mean, this is the really weird part. First of all, I've known people that were bipolar. No. I didn't know. Bipolar people don't necessarily hallucinate. You know what I'm saying? Bipolar people just have extreme highs and extreme lows. They get depressed and they get manic. They used to call it manic depressive. I never known a bipolar person that hallucinated. Have you?
No, because I have a coworker and a relative who are both bipolar, and neither of them have ever acted like this. Seeing things.
Yeah. So, but of course, she had that strange behavior. Now, in the investigations, I don't know how much research you've done on this, Kevin. I hope you've done a little bit because I'm going to ask you some questions.
No.
Did she have? How long has she been in that hotel?
If I recall, I think she was there a week in that hotel when that happened.
So it was a temporary. It was a temporary thing. Were there other young people staying there, and did she have any interaction with anybody else in the hotel?
From what I found, no. She was there on her own, of her own accord, and didn't have any companions with her. I want to say it had something to do with school, that she was here for schooling, and I could be wrong on that, but nobody was with her. And I think she had actually been at the hotel longer than she was supposed to have been. I think it was just supposed to be a few days, and a week went by.
Okay. Okay, so she stayed there. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
The strange thing, she gets on this elevator. She bent down and punched keys. Now I find that strange because I've never known myself to have to bend down to punch the keys. Usually they're kind of the keys are usually not that low.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong?
No, that you're right. I don't usually bend down. That's another reason people are saying, well, there must have been something mentally wrong with her, because she just was out of character. She looked paranoid, like somebody was following her, which somebody may have been following her.
So the question then is that who were her associates? Not necessarily in the hotel, but she had to know people, her family and whatnot. Did she have a history of strange behavior, or anything like that?
What I read when this first came out, I saw the strange, the articles out there about the strange stuff that went on. They said her family said she was not known to be strange or to have hallucinations or be on drugs or anything like that. Even though she may have been bipolar, she, other than that, was straight. She didn't have any problems before that.
So
she
they
didn't have
nobody
any depression either. So
yeah,
suicide.
well, she had money because she had to pay for the room.
Yeah.
It wasn't like she was homeless. Well, that elevator experience was only a piece of the story, of course.
Yeah.
Because where she ended up made it even more strange. How in the Hades did she get in this water tower on top of the roof and end up? I mean, sure, she could take off her clothes. I get that. But I mean, how would she even know about that? You know what I'm saying?
I know. This was her first and only time she'd been to that hotel, as far as I'm aware of. And unless she knew somebody who guided her up there. But again, there's a couple of problems with that. One is that it's a locked door. And even if someone with a key went up there, there's going to be an alarm that sounds on that door that goes up to the roof. So no alarm went off. It's more of an emergency exit. No alarms went off. Nobody was alerted. Hey, somebody just went on the roof. No, and there's no way she could have gotten through the door without a key, without access. Then when you get past that, from what I understand, there really would have been really difficult for her to climb, to put herself into that water tank, even if she was trying to commit suicide, which again, she was not suicidal. So somebody had to have shoved her in there, or from some versions I've read of this, the opening wasn't even big enough to really get a body in there, not a whole body. So how did her whole body get in there intact? And it's just, it's weird. It's really almost difficult to get away from a supernatural explanation.
So I guess what? So the water was tainted, and I guess the reason they checked that tank was because of the water smelled, or had a bad taste. Is that
Yeah.
the reason? So
Yeah.
they weren't looking for her body.
Right. If actually, that may be where the week comes to mind when I said she was there a week. I think she was actually in the tank for a week because after a while, and imagine you're a guest in a hotel and you're taking showers and maybe even drinking from the water and it's smelling and tasting awful, and you have no idea this very same water is coming from a tank where there's a body floating around. I mean, that's creepy. But yeah, guests were complaining of the smell and taste of the water, that it was very foul and odors were coming from the water pipes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when they finally ventured up there to check on the water tanks, and that's when they found her body up there.
So how long has she been missing? Has she been reported missing?
I think her parents were already looking for her, and that's where I think I got that idea. About a week went by. She may have only been supposed to be there a day or two, and it was a week later after her parents called looking for her, because they never heard from her after she checked in to the hotel. The hotel had no sign of her. I don't know they never said if the hotel showed her checking out or not. If a guest hasn't checked out, you'd think they would want to go check the room or her belongings there. I've not seen any reports on that where, when they went to her hotel room, were her things still there? Or did they show her checked out?
Yeah. And I think we're going back. What was her name again? I want to find something here.
Elisa Lam. Elisa, and last name Lam.
So I want to. Okay, so this 2013. I guess the question I have here, and the reason I wanted to look it up, I want to see. So this took place within 10 years, like you said, 2013.
Yeah.
And this, what's crazy about this is that was a period of time when we had cell phones. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't have anything on her that I saw. I mean, everybody has cell phones.
Yeah.
2013 is not ancient history. God, and the cause of death was drowning. If you look at this whole thing, Kevin, and you were to sit there and have a theory about what took place, what would your theory be?
I really don't know. I have no clue. This one's one of those that's too strange to explain. Maybe, of course, I have a lot of people want to dispute me, but it might have been something demonic that had to do with it. I do see on here it shows, it still doesn't show, it doesn't show anything about calling her cell phone, but it does say when she disappeared, she's supposed to check out January 31st, 2013. It says her parents didn't hear from her and they called LAPD. It doesn't say anything about it. They try her cell phone or anything.
Uh-huh.
And hotel staff who saw Lam that day said she was alone. The manager of a nearby bookstore said that day, that she disappeared, that she was very outgoing, very lively, very friendly while purchasing gifts in the store to take to her family. So that rules out her being in any kind of funky, weird mood right there prior.
Hmm.
And police searched the hotel to the extent that they legally could. They searched Lam's room and had dogs go through the building, including the rooftop, but the canines were unsuccessful in detecting her scent, probably because she was in the water in the tank. But they didn't search every room because they didn't have probable cause, quote, to believe a crime had been committed at that point. So it was a week later that they finally had the strange smells and stuff in the body.
Yeah, she did check in. She had the habit of checking in with her parents every day. And they didn't hear from her, and so they contacted, didn't hear from her daughter on January 31st, and that was the day that she was scheduled to check out.
I assume they probably tried calling her first, and they didn't get her. They checked the hotel, and
So I guess at that moment they just assumed she left and didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But then they checked the surveillance cameras, and that's when they found this weird.
Yeah, and that's
Very
it's
weird
like
behavior.
I'm
laughing, but
vanished.
it's really not funny at all.
And here's the other thing: they didn't catch her on any other security cameras, so I'm sure those hallways have security cameras,
so
including
yeah, I'm saying that is just strange.
including wherever
Nobody else was captured on the video.
Yeah, and there, would assume where you go to access the roof, there's got to be a camera there they can see if there's stairs or a hallway. And if they didn't catch anything there, then you really can't explain how she got up there in the water tank.
Oh God, I tell you what.
I don't know if they have. I just know that footage of the elevator was the last footage they had of her. There were no other cameras in the hotel that captured her after that. I don't know where all they had cameras. They didn't come out with that, but they just said that was the last footage before she vanished.
At the hotel, she was never seen with anybody. She was always alone.
Yeah.
Somebody did see her before her death at a nearby shop. Strangely enough, that shop that she was seen at was called the Last Bookstore.
I see here, it says her clothes and personal effects were also found in the tank floating in the water nearby her body. So
her room had been emptied out then.
Yeah, so I guess if they went to check the room, it would appear that she had just left and didn't, physically check out. This is weird. I mean,
that is I remember, and it's been 7 years ago, but this is like.
If somebody murdered her, how did they do all this and get her body in that tank without something, something getting triggered or somebody knowing?
Well, all I can say is, how do you get in that tank? Number one, number two, that's a heck of a way to commit suicide.
Yeah, if somebody was suicidal, why not just jump off the roof? Why go through the trouble of, especially if you're out of your head, you're not going to have the mechanics to know to let me climb up this water tower and open this hatch here, and then I can try to force my way in here. I mean, most people just walk right over to the edge of the roof and hop off. It doesn't look like suicide to me. It's just too weird to be suicide. It looks like somebody or something did that to her.
Okay, so to get to the water tower, you have to take the elevator to the 15th floor and then walk up a staircase. Hold on 1 second. I've got to get something here. Just 1 second.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and keep talking then. I can read a little bit here about the discovery of the body. It says some later. They also said the water was colored black when it came out of the faucet. So that's when you know something's really off. When the water's coming out black. They said the tank she was found in provided water to guest rooms, a kitchen, and a coffee shop. The tank was drained and cut open since its maintenance hatch was too small. Here we go again, too small to accommodate equipment needed to remove Lamb's body. Coroner's office issued a finding of accidental drowning with bipolar disorder as a significant factor. The full coroner's report released in June stated that Lamb's body had been found naked. Clothing similar to that she was wearing in the elevator video was floating in the water along with her possessions. Coated with a sand-like particulate. Sand was on her belongings. Now, here's more to the mystery. Where did the sand come from?
This is weird.
Her
Yeah,
watch and room key were found with her.
Okay, there was an alarm. I missed what you said there, but there was an alarm on the rooftop that had to be cut off.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. There was an alarm.
Okay. Turn off the rooftop alarm, climb up on the platform where the hotel's 4 water tanks were located. Finally, you had to climb another ladder to get to the top of the main tank. I noticed the hatch to the main water tank was open and looked inside and saw an Asian woman laying face up in the water, approximately 12 inches from the top of the tank. Good God. I would have hated for that to have been me to find that. I mean, that was a lot of effort, however she got in there. If she did it on her own, I mean, but there's no evidence. I'm sure there had to be, they got some kind of surveillance cameras, how detailed the surveillance cameras, and they've got that alarm on the roof. So if she had been kind of planning this out for a while, she would have had to scope this out previously.
Yeah. Well, did you hear what I said about the sand when you were coming back on?
I heard the sand part, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
where did sand come from?
Yeah, they don't know. It's coated. Their clothing was coated with sand-like particulate.
It certainly leads one to believe that there could possibly be some kind of paranormal activity. I mean, it's just
yeah.
God,
Michelle asked some questions. What were the police theories? Well, all they would say was it must have been suicide. And then was she wearing athletic shoes as if she was the one climbing? No, because she was naked in that tank. All her clothes were floating in the water next to her. This is probably the most bizarre death case I've ever heard of.
It is. I remember distinctly when this first hit in the news cycle, or at least on the internet, because I never watched the news, so I had to learn about it on the internet.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, yeah, this has got to be one of the weirdest things I've heard of in my lifetime. I could, I want to talk about some UFO and alien abduction and that kind of stuff. Interesting. It's easier to believe in UFOs and aliens than it is to try to figure this story out.
Yeah. Oh, they say, here's another interesting note, that they didn't find any. Some people, there have been several theories thrown about. Somebody said she might have been under the influence of ecstasy or some other party drug, but none of that was detected in her body when they did the autopsy.
Well, and I'm sure in all the investigation, it's not like they came out and said, that like the night before she went out to this party, or, there was no even rumors about that I heard of anything like that, was there?
No, she wasn't even the party type. It was like she was this straight-laced girl, a smart student. She was friendly. And even that bookstore owner, when she saw Elise earlier that day coming in shopping there at the hotel, said she was very friendly and outgoing, not somebody that was depressed or under the influence.
Like I said, I think we've all known somebody, at least one person that's bipolar, takes different meds, that kind of thing. That's just weird. I mean,
my relative takes what's that called? Tutor or something, I can't remember, and it's helps him out. And then I think my coworker does that too. She takes a medication, and although I've seen, only the worst I've ever seen out of any one of them was maybe mood swings, where they just get really irritated about something, but not crazy.
Right. Well, before they called it bipolar, it used to be called manic depressive syndrome, something like that, because it was super highs and super lows. So the thing about it is that none of these people, she was not seen associating with anybody. I guess she was, it wasn't like it wasn't like anybody came up and said, "Oh yeah, she used to come visit me in my room all the time," or I used to visit her. Nothing like that. And she was never seen, from what I gather, in the lobby or in the hallways with anybody. But clearly, something in that hallway had gotten her attention.
Maybe, and I know this going to lead into what we'll discuss later. Maybe it was something extraterrestrial. Maybe she was talking to an alien and it beamed her into the water tank.
Here's the thing, and we can laugh all you want to, but the reality is, some people believe in ghosts, other people believe in aliens, some people believe in Bigfoot, and all these belief systems are kind of on the strange side. Let's be real.
Yeah.
One of them are kind of on the interesting, strange side of things. So that's fine. Given that, you can't discount one theory, simply because it's not, well, I don't believe in aliens, it's like, well, you can't do that. But that is probably one of the most bona fide. We hear all kind of stories, but this is not just a story. This is real.
Yeah.
This is not some kind of urban legend. This is well documented, really happened. So it's not like a bunch of kids got together on Halloween and tried to spook each other.
And another thing, the Cecil Hotel where this happened, that's not the first and probably won't be the last time something crazy. They've had suicides there or murders there. They had, you mentioned that video, Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, stayed there while he was actively murdering people. And there have been all kinds of ghost stories there, hauntings. And I think there's a woman that's been seen in the hallways there who sometimes she screams and runs through the hall. Sometimes she appears in guest rooms. They think it's the ghost of a woman who committed suicide there. I think she and her husband were staying there, and he asked for a divorce and told her he didn't want to be with her anymore, and he left her in the hotel room by herself, and she jumped out the window.
Huh.
And so they've seen her ghost there. But there are all kinds of weird stories about the Cecil Hotel. I don't know if I don't want to stay there or not. I don't want to wind up in the water tank.
If the only thing about this story was her strange behavior at the elevator, that would be one thing. If that was it, if that strange behavior took place and then she just vanished, but where she vanished to complicates the whole story. And a little small, petite, little Asian girl. These Asian girls are not like the American girls. They don't, they tend to be kind of very petite and
You're so cute. I mean, they're.
But it's mind-boggling, and all these questions. They did toxicology. Michelle said a lot of people on meds start thinking they can deal without them once they improve. Blah blah blah. But I've known bipolar people, and they don't. It's not bipolar does not lead to hallucinations and that kind of behavior. They get manic, but they don't talk to invisible people.
Yeah, they usually get irritable, have that mood swing,
and then they'll get depressed and crawl up in the bed for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's not like she was schizophrenic or diagnosed with anything else. And her behavior was nothing indicating that she had just missed her drugs for bipolar, a mood swing. That's what bipolar is mood swings, bottom line.
Yeah.
And she clearly was able to function because she had traveled from Canada, where she was from, to whatever she was doing in Los Angeles as a student or whatever. Even though, and she contacted her parents every day, she had a certain amount of responsibility. The mere fact that she called her parents every day shows a certain amount of responsibility. It seems like the week that she was in the hotel was not a week to where she was involved in any disturbances. Nobody called and complained about noises she was making. She wasn't in her room bouncing off the walls and talking to non-existent people in her room. You know?
Yeah.
Is it strange? Did they find her
Yeah.
cell phone? Was the cell phone inside that tank as well?
It doesn't say a thing about the cell phone. It does mention when she checked in, she was initially assigned a shared room on the hotel's 5th floor. However, her roommates complained about what the hotel described as certain odd behavior, and she was moved to a room of her own after 2 days. They don't say what that odd behavior was, but
yeah,
the people that saw her the day of said she was just fine.
Okay. So now Michelle will enjoy this part of a theory. Let's say that let's say we got parallel universes, and she was the reincarnation. She bumped into herself as a previous self. You know what I'm saying? And they had a conflict that nobody else could see because they were just kind of in between these Twilight Zone bumping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's who she was, in her previous life, or maybe in this parallel universe that only she could see. Maybe that was the entity that led her up. But still, I mean, if somebody took her up there, it would almost have to be like an employee of the hotel.
Yeah, somebody that had access, and again, no alarm went off. I'm sure there wasn't that huge hotel. There wasn't just one employee working that night. There were several. Somebody would have known, hey, the roof alarm went off. Nobody's supposed to be up there. Let's investigate.
Yeah.
So
when you look at that video, she gets in the elevator, she bends down, and it looks like she's pushing more than one floor in there. And then she looks up, the elevator doesn't close, and she's kind of peeking around. Well, if I'm in an elevator and the door's not closing, I'm going to kind of look out there too, because I'm thinking somebody's out there pushing a button or about to get on.
Yeah,
I've had that happen before. But usually it works out just the opposite, that when you get on an elevator and you hear somebody coming, you have to force the door to stay open because it tries to close too quick. This door did not even try to close. The door did not try to close. Go back and play that video. Not that there's got to be another version where we don't have to watch those two guys. Just the raw version.
Yeah, there is. Let me pull it up here. Here we go. Raw footage. All right. Let me see if this one got. Okay, here's some raw footage. So I'm going to pull this up here. All right, here. Let's get back to the beginning here. There we
Blow
go.
it up. Yeah, full screen it.
There you go.
The elevator opens. She gets on. She immediately bends down to the keypad, which is unusual. I never had to bend down to push buttons on the keypad, but then she steps in the corner like she's waiting for the door to close. It does not close. I would be like her at this moment. I'd say, why is the door closing? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So she peeks out there. She don't see anybody. She steps back. She's still waiting for the door to close. Now she's kind of scared. It's like, what's going on? I'd be kind of like her at this point. You're in an older hotel. The door didn't close. You should be going somewhere. And it's like, is somebody out there messing with you? But if they've got a camera in the elevator, why haven't I just don't understand why they didn't have one in the hallway that they could be sharing that video.
I don't know. Here is this where she starts. Looks like she's talking to somebody, I think.
She steps out of frame. And then now she's waving her arm like something. But see, at this point, the elevator should have closed.
Yeah.
The door stayed open the entire time. At this point, normal elevators do not stay open like that. Now she stood out there and she came back on. Now she's going back in to push the button. She 1, 2, 3, 4, and she's pushing all the buttons. Which is, look at her. I mean, she's pushing shitload of buttons. She must be pushing all 50 forward. Now she's peeking outside again. Well, she didn't just peek; she walked out.
She went out. Now here's where she stooped over like she's talking to somebody there.
That is just strange. It's almost like she's trying to feel somebody.
Is it ghostly or?
Gosh, that's weird. It is like really weird.
She's doing that motion with her hands. I don't know what that is. And I think that's where she walked away.
But here's what is strange. The door still has not closed.
Yeah. Now, it'll close in a minute, then it'll open and close. It's weird.
You've been on enough elevators, and I have too. That's not natural for an elevator door just to stay open like that. Usually, if somebody's like even 30 seconds behind you and trying to get on, you got to hold the door open for them.
Yeah.
That door, look at it, still open, and she's nowhere in sight, and the door still, that finally closed.
Now it's going to close.
Let's see, does it keep on, or do they cut it off? Does it go to another floor? You can't tell.
It stays on that floor. The door will open in a second, and
so it didn't go anywhere.
It didn't go anywhere yet. Here it goes. It's opening up again. Nobody's there. And
she's gone. And she had gone to the left.
And that's closing again.
That's the way a door normally operates right there. That is the normal operation of an elevator door.
And then I think it's going to open again.
Does it?
Yeah, it's going to open again. There it goes again. Still nobody there. And that's still the same floor. And this is going to be the end of the video here. There you go.
The strange things clearly, again, when she got on there, she pushed like all 15 buttons.
Yeah, she did.
But you know, I've been on enough elevators. I don't care if you're in a 20-story building and you push all 20 buttons. That does not make the door stay open like that.
No.
It's still going to close. So that's a strange thing. And she wasn't trying to make the door stay open. In fact, she stood outside long enough for it to have closed several times where they're standing out away from it.
Yeah. And people think maybe somebody was after her because the way she slid over in the corner and had her back, like she was hiding in the corner, and then she peeked around.
There's nobody up and down the hallway. I don't know what floor she was on when this occurred, but there was no traffic visible. And you get on an elevator and you push buttons and the elevator door does not close, and you look outside and don't see anybody, you're going to be a little bit paranoid yourself.
Yeah.
Especially in an old building like, you're going to be a little bit paranoid. And she's a very slight young lady, so she had every reason to be a little bit concerned. It's like, I pushed the buttons. Now, why? So the question again goes to, number one, why did she push so many buttons on the pad there for so many different floors? Number two, why did that elevator door never close all that time? She did not do anything to get in the way of it closing, not once. And she stood outside for a lengthy period of time and it still did not close. So it just builds upon itself so many times, and it's strange in so many ways. You could say a faulty elevator, but they didn't, in their reports, I didn't read anything about them saying that we were having problems with our elevators.
No.
And then what's all this stuff? She's standing out there doing,
Yeah.
you know.
So, right there.
Yeah.
I believe this is going to just stay an unsolved mystery. It'll never be solved.
That'll go down in the annals of it was a ghost. Certainly, I would label it paranormal simply because it's not normal.
If Robert Stack was still alive, this would be on Unsolved Mysteries,
No
right?
doubt. No doubt. There's no doubt. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that video in a long time. I remembered I'd watched it several times, but as a refreshment on it, I probably watched it with more clarity this time than I did before. But,
yeah, I had talked about it on my audio podcast I do on Podbean as one of the scary stories I tell, but then I kind of forgot about it until it was last night, I believe. The Travel Channel had a show called Mysteries of the Unexplained, and they spent a half hour talking about the Elisa Lam case and showed that footage.
Michelle asked the history of the hotel. We discussed that a while ago. It's a very old hotel. I would say it's probably at this point probably was built back in the 50s at the latest.
Yeah, and, I think it was the 20s is when it was actually built.
And it does, in recent decades, as a history, there were some serial killers that was known to have spent a couple of nights there, lived there for a while. People have claimed to see ghosts and whatnot there. So there's no doubt that there are claims of paranormal activity taking place. And then given the ilk of some of the people, the type of some of the people that are known to have stayed there, that kind of adds to those stories. But taking all that away, all that is non-provable. That's just people saying they saw something. There's no documented evidence of anything in there except there was a serial killer that spent the night there, right?
Yeah, there's at least two. I can't remember who the other one was, but there's two serial killers who had stayed there.
Right, but they didn't kill anybody at the hotel.
Not at the hotel, but I know for sure the Night Stalker, they said it was during his reign of murders when he actually lived out of the hotel.
So, given all that, we've got, regardless, old libraries have stories, and you hear all kind of ghost stories, and but to just necessarily tie that into this case, to me, is a bit of a stretch to say, well, there are ghost stories, because not everybody that stayed there has walked away saying, "Ooh, I'm not going back there again because there was a ghost."
And this was built in 1927.
Okay, so you're right.
It's been around a while.
So anyway, it is strange. And I remember back then there was theories that it had to be an employee of the hotel because of where the body was found, having access to it. There was an alarm when you go. I don't know if it was on one of those doors to where you push the door open, an alarm goes off, but to access the roof itself, there was an alarm. The question I have again, and I don't know if anybody's even tried to answer it, is you've got cameras on the elevator. You got a camera there. Is there no cameras down looking down the hallways? Most of these hotels now have a camera at both ends of the hallway. They're very evident.
Yeah, even the old ones have added cameras, even though they may not have been there in 1927. They've added them now.
Yeah, and 2013 is not like ancient times. There were already cell phones in high usage, and surveillance cameras were already everywhere. That's just a few short years ago. So it seems like, I don't know, it's just strange. It is just very strange. And they were, if the body had not been putrefied in drinking water.
And I added too, when you stepped out of a little while ago, that the water was turning black when the guests were, by the time the guests were complaining, it was coming out black out of the faucet.
Mm-hmm.
Which really means you got a problem. It's not just stinking and tasting foul.
Well, I've stayed in hotels in Mexico City, and they always warn you about going down there and drinking. But they have special. You go to a motel down in Mexico, at least the nicer ones, hotels that downtown there in Mexico City, they have a special faucet for your drinking water, and then the other water you're told not to drink. Um, but I have stayed like in throughout my life at one time or the other. You've probably stayed somewhere where you turn on a faucet and the water looks dirty or rusty. Have you ever seen that happen?
Yeah.
So you don't naturally. I'm not going to drink it, but you don't naturally. You don't naturally think, "Oh, there's a body in the water tank."
No.
You just think they got bad pipes,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I don't. I'm totally lost, and I do remember this case very well because it's not one you easily forget.
No, it is.
I would bet that whoever investigated this going back then and whatnot, I mean, this is probably part of their daily conversation.
It's that case they couldn't crack, and it stays with them.
How in the world? Like I said, you could, if she's got some emotional, mental issues, you could kind of toss it away to her behavior on the elevator. If the elevator was acting in a normal fashion, because after she disappeared, all of a sudden the elevator started acting normal. Okay. She didn't do anything to prevent the door from closing. But once she took off, it stayed open that whole time and never even tried to close. Never even once did you see it bump open. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then after she totally disappears, the elevator does this normal thing of opening, closing, like a normal elevator does. I have stayed in some places, and in the middle of the night, even though nobody's riding the elevator will come to a floor and just randomly open and close.
Yeah.
What causes that, I don't know. But that elevator was not acting normal until after that event with her was recorded and she vanished, and then the elevator went back to normal operations. There's so many elements to this story that make it above strange.
It's abnormal.
This is what we are. And we have talked about this one thing for an hour.
I know. It's good.
And a very interesting story. You can find this information all over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to investigate it and learn more about it, if you just type in the name Elisa Lam, it's not Lamb, it's just Lam. Elisa, Elisa Lam. You can read up on it for yourself. And if you come up with any theories that you think of, share it with us. Sure. My name's Kelsey. This is Kevin, and this was Kevin's idea to talk about this, and now I can't think about anything else right at the moment because it's mind-boggling. But I also want to talk about some UFO stories and alien abduction. This is like, if her body hadn't have been found, you could have said it was an alien abduction, but her body was found. So if they abducted her, I guess they could have abducted her and then dropped her off in the water tank. So,
yeah, there was an abduction, and they screwed up with when they dropped her off.
Well, I'm gonna be politically incorrect here and say the aliens abducted her and then came back and said, "Oh, we don't like Chinese food." So I know that's terrible. That's terrible. So it's just strange. I don't care how you look at it. It's just strange as heck. And, there's no, it would be different if you saw somebody that she was talking to or something like that. But anyway. All right. So alien abductions. Years ago, and let's see, how long ago has this been now? 20 years ago, 25 years ago. There's a little town up by Guntersville and Boaz and kind of up in that area. And this little town is called Fife, Alabama, and that's Fyffe, Fife. Yeah, I remember it because every time I heard this story and thought about Fife, I obviously thought about Barney Fife from, from the Andy Griffith, Sheriff Andy, one bullet deputy, and used to love watching that show. And so I would. So I always I could not help but relate it because one of the interviews they did was with a local cop up in Fife, and I'm just sitting there thinking, of all places for a UFO experience, it had to be in Fife, Alabama. So
Yeah.
I had my own experience, and I'm not gonna get into my own experience right now with my Men in Black story. I'm sure, Kevin, you probably heard me tell it. I don't feel like telling it again right now, but it'd be about 26 years ago now, in Fife, Alabama. A UFO was seen. I guess there were more than 4,000 people. I guess claimed to have seen this. There's a lot of hoopla. In fact, to this day, they have a festival up in Fife called UFO Days, and it don't really have to do with UFOs. It's kind of like a big flea market thing, but kind of a festival. Visibility was difficult because of clouds and light rain on this date, but Fife got on the UFO circuit February the 10th when a woman reported seeing a strange light in the sky, and the police later reported seeing a large lighted object passing silently over them. Numerous other sightings have been reported since then, and this is not ancient news. Well, not for me, it isn't. Some of you guys it would be, but this was reported in the New York Times on March the 6th of 1989. 25 years ago, the tiny DeKalb County town of Fife, Alabama became the center of, and it did gain national attention. This occurred on February the 11th, 1989. And the first call was made at that point in time to the Fife Police Department. A woman reported seeing this strange object in the sky. But by the end of February the 12th, more than 50 residents had reported seeing the strange objects, including the town's police chief and his assistant. And I kept wanting to say, I wonder if his name was Barney Fife, but I'll leave that alone. The object was described by a witness as hovering at an angle from 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock with bright lights at the top and bottom. The curvature was outlined in green with a real bright light in the center. Fife Police Chief Charles Jr. Garmany and Assistant Police Chief Fred Works responded to the initial call and soon saw something in the sky. Garmany and Works were driving along DeKalb County Road 43, but stopped and stepped out of the car when they saw an object in the sky that was bigger than a jumbo jet and silent. They described it as metallic and triangular shaped. According to DeKalblandmarks.org, Works told a reporter, the object came over and got straight overhead. It was big, wide, and appeared to be a wide triangular shape. We kept waiting to hear the sound. We kept looking at each other and saying, where's the sound? We never heard anything. Garmany added, what I saw the first time was like nothing I ever saw before. It wasn't a helicopter. It wasn't a plane. There was no sound. A week later, Works told the Associated Press, I'm not saying what I saw was a flying saucer, but what really got me was the lack of sound. Other law officers who reported seeing something strange in the sky included a Crossville police officer, the Geraldine police chief, and a state trooper. Over the next few days, as many as 4,000 tourists and more than 100 news organizations converged on Fife. After a witness described the craft as banana-shaped, an entrepreneur began selling T-shirts with a banana-shaped object on the front with the words, "I survived the Fife UFO." For a while, residents of Fife enjoyed the notoriety, but soon the tourists and jokes grew tiresome. As the Tuscaloosa News reported February 17, 1989, under the headline, "Fife Police Chief Aide Tired of UFO Jokes." Work said in the article, "I walked into the grill the other day for lunch and there sat a reporter. I never even got to eat. I came on back to the office and there sat reporters from a TV station. Right now, I'm 2 rec reports behind." After a few weeks, however, the town realized the lure of its history and began hosting the Fife UFO Days Festival each August, featuring hot air balloons, arts, crafts, games, and a street dance, live entertainment, and more. Junior Garmany went on to run the Shop and Go store in Fife and later ran unsuccessfully for the town council. Garmany died in October the 24th of 2013 at the age of 64. The flag of Fife Town Hall flew at half-mast in his honor, according to the town's Facebook page. Fife is not the only Alabama town with a history of UFO sightings. Sightings were especially plentiful in the 1970s, of course. To this day, Alabamians are reporting seeing strange craft in the sky. Alabama ranked 15th in the U.S. in 2013 in the number of sightings, according to MUFON, Mutual UFO Network. In 1973, another police chief in a small North Alabama town took a photo of what he thought was an alien being. I don't know if do you remember this one, Kevin?
No, where was it at?
Falkville.
Falkville?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've heard of that because I always think Falkville.
So in October 1970.
That sounds like Falk, Arkansas. So I always make that connection whenever I hear Falkville.
So in October of 1973, Falkville Police Chief Jeff Greenhall, I went to school with Greenhall, responded to a call from a woman who was excited as she reported seeing something strange. Greenhall responded and came upon a 6-foot-tall metallic creature with an antenna on its head. It looked like his head and neck were kind of made together. He was real bright, something like rubbing mercury on nickel, but just as smooth as glass. Different angles give different lighting. I don't believe it was aluminum foil. It was running faster than any human I ever saw. Greenhall was ridiculed and lost his job. Wonder why. Many people believed someone had played a prank on the chief. However, the photo he snapped of the creature that night can be seen in books on alien life. And then you know where Moundville is, over in Tuscaloosa area.
Yeah.
An anonymous witness told the Tuscaloosa News what he saw in October of 1976. This thing dropped out of the sky like a rock. Just when I thought I was about to be crushed, it pulled up just short. I looked up again and a light as bright as the sun blinded me. And you know where Hayden is, Hayden Mountain, 1977. Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Terry White were driving towards their Blount County home with their children in the car when they spotted a 65-foot-long craft. It had something coming out of the bottom of the object. It looked like pads. They were half the width of the object. Tuscaloosa, 1977, a local teenager, Stuart Lewis, told the Tuscaloosa News, "What I saw then was beyond imagination. It was kind of a triangular shaped object with the shape of a pool rack. It had a deep yellow glow. It seemed like it was thrown out of an explosion. It was tumbling, but it was moving slowly on a line." So there are some UFO experiences in Alabama. Yeah. The most fun one, of course, that I like is the one from Fife.
This picture I put up here, that's that Falkville creature photo. Looks like a man in a spacesuit out of a 50s movie.
All I can say is if that was aluminum foil, it had to be very thick aluminum foil.
Yeah.
It don't look like aluminum foil to me. It looks, it could be a metallic type cloth or something. The head of it makes it even more strange.
Yeah.
But that was the one up in Blount County, right?
Yeah, this was supposed that picture that was taken in Faultville.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think about aliens and UFOs and all that kind of stuff?
I used to be big about aliens when I was younger, just as much as I was ghosts. When I was a kid, I said, dang it, I want to get a picture of a ghost in my house. And I want to get a picture of a UFO right up there in the sky. I did get a picture I forgot all about, and God knows where it is now. Might have wound up in the trash, but there was a day when I was a kid, probably junior high school, when I walked out of my house. This is in central Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
kind of north of Birmingham, northwest, a little town called Adamsville.
Oh yeah.
And I walked outside the house and I looked up, and there were these 4 shiny objects and a perfect diamond, one here, 2 here, and 1 down here. And they would move and rotate a little bit. And I thought, what the heck is that? They were real shiny little dots.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed to get a picture of them. And I don't know where there was a good color picture that captured them. I don't know what I did with it. I took it to school. I remember showed it off, and everybody was baffled. But somebody said maybe it was some kind of aerial thing. Maybe there were some planes up there flying around together. And I said, well, just really weird. They didn't look like planes, and there was no noise. There was no exhaust or anything like that. But I used to check out every book I could find on UFOs. I loved pictures like this old one here.
Uh-huh.
That somebody caught, and that could have been faked. I don't know. It looks like an old black and white photo. I used to love looking at the pictures that people had caught from the 50s all the way up. Seems like UFO craze started with Kenneth Arnold back in 1951 when he was flying in his plane, and he was a pilot, and he saw a UFO, a disc-shaped UFO. And, of course, that wasn't the very first ever. There have been unidentified flying objects for centuries, but this one started the craze. Even Hollywood started putting out movies about UFOs. And since then, it's just been a huge fascination with a lot of people. Flying saucers and bug-eyed aliens.
Well, I'm of course a couple of years older than you. Not much, but a couple of years. So this stuff was going strong when I was a kid. My mother's brother, and I was really young. I was preteen for sure. We're talking about the late 50s, early 60s. And I remember my uncle coming over to visit, and we were outside in front of the house, and I guess it was a night sky. And that was my first introduction to UFOs was from him. He was really big into it back then. Of course, he could remember the what was happening out west, Area 51, when that stuff first hit. Of course, it wasn't Area 51. It was the New Mexico, the crash landing. They didn't talk about Area 51 back then. But anyway, so this thing was really ramped up then. And of course, it kind of stuck with me for life. I did for a while a lot of night driving, and a lot of people don't pay attention to the sky. We're focused. We got kind of like tunnel vision. People would say, that if there were UFOs like that, there'd be a lot more pictures and whatnot. But it's not like you're driving down the road at night and you're paying attention. And there's not, if you're sitting on your deck at night, people aren't gazing at the sky. They're sitting around chatting with somebody, or we've got some glowing phone in our face or computer. We just don't pay attention. I had a wedding last Saturday in Natchez, Mississippi, and you go through driving. That's a heck of a drive from here too. It's like 5.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
But I guess you've heard of these chemtrails.
The what? The chemtrails?
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard of that.
Well, first of all, let's go back all the way to the 70s. I was very fascinated with flying. So my grandfather lived up in Rockford, Illinois. I did not know him very well because we lived in Alabama and didn't share a whole lot with him. But I thought he was getting older. I wanted to learn how to fly a plane. So I went up to Rockford and to see my grandfather, spend a little time with my grandfather, and also I wanted to learn how to fly a plane. And I'd get up every morning and fly this plane. Back in those days, you didn't see these markings in the sky. When you see condensation from an airplane, it dissipates real quick. It's water molecules and it doesn't stay there long. Also, when you're flying, especially the bigger jets and whatnot, you've got a flight pattern. You're just not zigzagging through the sky. Smaller planes can, but smaller planes are usually flying like 2,500, 3,000 feet when the jets are flying like 30,000 feet. But sometime in the 90s, you go and you look and pay attention even to ads, picture ads, TV ads, and you'll see these markers. What do you got, bugs in your house?
Yeah, darn fly or something.
You're acting like that girl in that elevator.
I am not.
The bottom line is that a lot of people don't pay attention to this stuff and what's going on in the big picture. You enjoy ghost hunting, okay? That's more your thing. So you're kind of focused in here still when you're doing ghost hunting. You're normally in a building of some sort. It's not like you're out in, unless you're at a cemetery or something. So I guess what I'm saying is what we miss in the big picture because we got tunnel vision where our attention is taken away from the sky and all this other stuff. Because I've seen some phenomenal things. About 15 years ago, I had a motor home. I went up to Thunder Bay, Canada. And I spent, I guess, about a month or two up there. And stayed at a KOA campground up Thunder Bay. And I was in the back of the motor home was the bedroom. And the windows, I'm laying in my bed in the back. I'm by myself. I'm kind of just looking at the sky from my bed, with the window curtains open, looking at the sky. And I saw, this is way up in the northern hemisphere. Thunder Bay is like way up there. Okay. So I noticed this light come across and it came to a certain point and vanished. There were no clouds in the sky. It was perfectly clear night. Here comes this light moving like this, and it just poof, vanished. And I'm looking, it's like, I don't see any clouds. So this one came from this way and vanished, and then just a short time later, here comes another light coming from this direction, gets to the same point, and it vanished. So I don't think, satellites are more often around the equator, because if you've got your satellite antenna or whatnot, you want to see the southern sky and that kind of thing. But anyway, I come nearer buying into aliens and UFOs or the vastness of the universe. It's hard for me to believe that we're the only living thing out here. Now, why the heck they'd want to come to this planet is another. Maybe we're a universal sitcom.
There was some interesting security camera footage caught last year in La Junta Colorado. I think it's pronounced La Junta. Have you heard about this footage of a little alien creature?
No, you got it?
Yeah, I've got it pulled up here.
Let's watch it.
And I'll give a little backstory here. On the evening of June 6, 2019, La Junta resident Vivian Gomez shared a video on her Facebook page that has generated garnered viral attention. It's a 10-second clip allegedly discovered by Gomez the morning of June 2nd, portrays what is described as a shadow of an opening door falling across Gomez's driveway and then a lanky humanoid figure walking into view. As a mysterious figure moves across the driveway, it stops briefly to do what resembles the chicken dance before the clip ends. And looks like, let me go ahead and just play the video before I read anything else. So let me go ahead and bring it up here. This is some bizarre stuff right here. All right. Something's wrong here with my little share thing. It's freezing up a little bit. Here's the Wheel of Death scrolling on the middle of my screen here. This is so annoying when this happens. All right. Let's see what I can do here. Dadgummit, is that maybe that alien is watching and doesn't want me to play his video?
On YouTube?
Yeah.
What's it called? What's it called?
Well, I can't even click on anything with this little Wheel of Death up here.
Well, if you give me something to look for, I can put up on mine.
Hold on, let me get my task thing up here. Well, if I can get to it, I can get the title of it. No, I don't want to close out Google Chrome completely because then
you're about to lose it.
Now, why is it doing this? Okay, let me pull it up on my phone and give you the name of it.
This is Elisa Lamb.
It's ridiculous.
I'm taking over your computer so I can contact my loved ones.
You just think you're funny. Okay. I would put in, if you go on YouTube and put in alien caught on camera in La Junta, that's LA and then JUNTA, there's a 35-second clip you can pull up.
Oh, that's La Junta.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it, but
La Junta. There we go. I got it. Okay, so I'm going to pull it up. Oh, that's the one running down by the car?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. I get it. I don't know what's going on with you, but let me hit my share thing here. Share screen. Go to Chrome, Alien, and let me hit the audio, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Share. All right, you got it there?
Yeah.
Just about 4 to 5, and take a look at this viral video from the hunt in southeastern Colorado. All right, Vivian Gomez.
I don't see it.
On Sunday morning, there are people on Facebook who say it looks like Dobby from Harry Potter, or a ghost for an alien, or a kid in flip-flops and underwear. We think it looks like Lisa doing her Sunday morning dance. I don't know. Lisa, were you on I know. Give it away. The video has been seen by 11 million people.
That's going to be the news.
Okay. I don't. Yeah, I saw that before. My honest opinion is that's BS. I can do that on my computer pretty easily. The problem, if you'll notice 2 or 3 things about that video. Number one, it doesn't fade away. It just, vanishes like that. And then you add to that, at the point it vanishes, over here by the car, you'll see some little thing happen. Okay, so the alien is up here walking, and it just all of a sudden vanishes, and at the same time, you got this anomaly happened by the bumper of the car over here. It's like editing taking place. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd seen it before. I don't buy it. Now I've seen some stuff that I have to question, but that unfortunately is I take issue with that one. It's just strange. Mom's still unsure of what creature. Let's see what Mom says about it here. They interviewed Mom. So mom whose security cameras captured. Hold on. Let me share this screen.
Okay.
And we'll see what Mom has to say. Let me get the audio there. And share. Okay.
The mom whose security cameras captured that creepy creature is speaking out today, and she's really freaked out.
It's something you don't see every day.
This is the driveway in Colorado Springs where Vivian Gomez says the strange figure was reported frolicking in the dead of night.
He opened the door, and from the cameras, you can see a shadow on the fence. Then he stopped at the front of the car and did a little dance. My camera only goes for 10 seconds, so it just cut off at that point.
Social media is going nuts. Some say it looks like an alien or an elf, like Dobby from the Harry Potter movies. Others have a more down-to-earth explanation. It's a skinny kid doing the chicken dance, wearing underwear on his head. And guess what? Vivian has a 9-year-old son named Bobby. Could it be your son Bobby just goofing around?
No, I wouldn't let him out in the dark by himself.
What's Bobby like? Is he a goofy kid? Does he like dancing around?
He likes to play around and joke around. And he loves to dance.
Does he like to dance with his underwear on his head?
No, I haven't.
So if it's not Bobby, then who is it? I saw it and I was like, is that an alien? Kelsey Eddy lives next door. She says there are no other kids in the neighborhood who fit the description.
I've never seen something like that in my life before. I just freaked me out.
Concerned citizens are flooding the local radio station.
I'm honestly just kind of scared, but we need to check the lion.
Vivian Gomez thinks whoever or whatever it was ran off into the field across the street. Who knows? Maybe he's still out there.
Okay. Okay.
I'm back now. The stupid wheel of death is gone, and
Yeah, I saw you took a break there. I figured you had to re-up your stay.
yeah, I had to restore it. So now, so I wasn't going too long.
No, I don't know that one. I don't know. This just me or whatever.
Well, the whole little hokey, the whole little hokey chicken thing going on there is kind of.
Yeah, they don't act like an alien to me.
Yeah.
I think that reporter had it right when she said your kid snuck out the door and did that. That's not natural. I don't know.
Yeah. But whenever I think of alien abduction, though, the first thing pops in my head is Travis Walton. You know the Travis Walton story, don't you?
No. Is that the one down Pascagoula?
I believe it's way over in Arizona where this happened.
Okay.
Let's see, I had it pulled up here.
I'm gonna, while you're working on that, I will share another story with you that made national news. Same subject, but you can also pull up that other one.
Yeah.
So let's look here. You ready?
That have sparked a manhunt going on now in 2 states. They show a young woman walking along when a man suddenly.
Oh, that's not the right one.
Attacks her and drags.
That's not the right one. That's not it at all. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry, Charlie. Did you find yours?
Yeah, I got mine up here.
Okay, go ahead. I'll find mine in a minute.
The Travis Walton abduction. The curious case of this northern Arizona logger isn't just one of the most notorious alien abduction tales, it also became one of the most lucrative. Walton and his fellow loggers were driving home late from work one night down a dirt road when they noticed a strange glow just over the horizon of the trees. They approached the source of light and discovered a large fluorescent object in the shape of a diamond beaming down a column of light. Walton wanted to get a good look at it for himself and stepped into the light, thinking whatever was making it would just fly away. Instead, the light grew stronger, picked up Walton about 3 feet off the ground, and threw him down, knocking him unconscious. His friends sped away in fear for their lives, but decided to go back and get him, only to find an empty clearing with no sign of their friend. Police suspected foul play at first, but 5 days later, Walton turned up at a gas station in another town more than 30 miles away. He remembered the abduction and the interior of the craft before he blacked out and woke up in the gas station. Some claim the story was fake, even suggesting Walton was intentionally given a hallucinogen, but the story sparked a wildfire in the media, leading to the best-selling book and movie called Fire in the Sky. And Walton did talk about he saw there were other people in that ship. It wasn't just him. Others were abducted. If I remember, the aliens had these weird shaped heads, sort of. I don't know if I remember if it was oval shaped and they were wearing some kind of silver suits, and they probed him and just did all kinds of things. But he had, if I remember, he had some burn marks on him they couldn't explain when he was taken to the hospital after he was found. I think on his backside. And he said that's where they were doing some of the work back there, whatever these things were. And I have seen Travis Walton at a convention that I was at. I'm partially sensitive, and when I got near his table, it was like almost like he had way too much energy going on around him, so I backed off and I didn't go over and talk to him. He gave out this odd vibe, and he had this really, nervous look about him.
So what do you take from that? Why do you think that is?
I don't think he made it up. I think if nothing else, he saw something happen to him. He saw something. If it wasn't an alien, could it have been some sort of government, military craft? And maybe, what he saw, whatever was working on him and probing him were people in disguise. Something happened to him. I don't think he just made it up. Not to mention all these witnesses, all these loggers who were with him saw this thing and, backed up that he disappeared.
Let's look at another creepy figure here.
Okay.
Real quick. Oops.
Family's dinner was interrupted last night by an unexpected guest. One they don't think is of this world. News 13's Alison Martinez has the video and the story.
A creepy, unusual sight.
As soon as I saw it, my hair stood up. Because I've never seen anything like that before.
The Hernandez family saw something they can't explain, captured by their home security cameras in Clovis.
My husband happened to look over right when I guess the image came up, and I originally didn't see it. My husband did, and he's the one that was like, I don't, was that a person? And then started, saying, no, that couldn't have been, and panicked and ran over.
This is what they saw during dinner last night. It looks like a person in an otherworldly form. Their explanation? It's a ghost.
And this one is definitely brighter. You can see it 100%. And you can see the movement of either arms or legs going with the body as it goes by.
They say their house has some history. Before moving in, Brianna spoke to a gentleman who was very familiar with the property.
He said that several years ago, I believe it was his uncle, had a house on this corner lot. And his uncle passed away.
They claim the home stayed vacant before it was torn down to build the new duplexes. Brianna claims that she was never a believer before, but now things have changed. Reporting in Clovis, Allison Martinez, KRQE News 13.
So what do you think of that?
Yeah, I saw that on that show I like to watch, Paranormal Caught on Tape. I think is what's called on Travel Channel. I'd seen that. That's really interesting. I like that footage. I think there is something to that one. It's it's creepy.
So you've got a variety of different beliefs, and some people think they see angels. Some people think they see ghosts. Some people think like Michelle, she and others like her believe in reincarnation. They believe they can remember past lives. I remember being brought up real staunch fundamentalist Christian, and we used to kind of poke fun or scoff at other beliefs, you know what I'm saying? Until I looked in the mirror and thought about what I was believing. And I thought, well, I'm believing something pretty strange, you know? So I could be, you know, any of this could be possible, I guess. I think there's more evidence for what we're talking about now than there is Bigfoot.
Yeah.
The things I've seen with Bigfoot, and I'm not knocking it, but it's always the pictures and video is always like nothing ever clear. It's always like a shadow. You know what I'm saying? But some of these, and I have you ever? Well, I've talked to you about this before, but I don't think it's a question of if there's something out there. I think it's only a question of what that something is. The common average belief is that they're a ghost. Okay. But I think the problem I've got is we don't, you know, what are ghosts? Is it dead people?
I think, yeah, I think it's spirits of people who have passed on.
Okay. So, and that's the common belief. I mean, that's what the average person that believes in ghosts, they think, okay, that's grandma passed away and now her ghost is coming to mess with me, you know. And that's just the common belief. UFOs, all this stuff. Have you ever heard of reptilians?
Yeah, I've seen videos on that. Some really freaky footage they've caught out there of what looks like shape shifting caught on like live TV. Like there's a newscaster who's, if that one of the celebrities, I want to say Britney Spears, there's footage of her where her eyes suddenly went strange, like the iris is elongated in her eyes and then went back to normal. And people say, oh, she's a shapeshifter. She was about to shapeshift into a reptilian and caught herself before, you know. There are some videos out there. I mean, they could be messed with and made to look like that, you know, but it's interesting. I'm always interested by this stuff.
You go, I guess you watched that show Ancient Aliens.
I don't think I've watched that one. When I was younger, I read some books about ancient aliens and
History Channel and whatnot, and the drawings in caves and whatnot. Some of them look like aliens and spaceship, and
yeah, some of those ancient pyramids have faces on top that look kind of alien-like, like the Aztecs and other tribes. I think some of the Egyptian ones have that.
Well, even the Book of Ezekiel talks about that a lot of people say is a UFO spaceship. You know what scripture I'm talking about there.
Yeah, those things rotate in the sky.
Wheel within the wheel.
The wheels, yeah.
So I don't know. It's all interesting. I don't think any of it's been proven. I think I'll go back to what we've been talking about tonight. I think the strangest thing that we is that Elisa Lam. I mean,
good luck debunking that thing.
that's like, I don't know. That one's really it. I mean, some of this other stuff, like the little character walking down the driveway, and that's like, okay, I'm not sure about that. But you can't run from Elisa.
No, that was so weird.
Yeah.
The
only thing you can do with that is say, I don't know.
And I was waiting on a movie. I said, sometime soon, I'm sure somebody's going to make a movie based on that. And there is one that came out last year, right before, before the COVID and everything. I can't remember the name of it now, but I rented it. It's a pretty dang good movie about it. It's fictional, but it's based loosely on that Elisa Lam case.
Where we have to go out there and rent a room and make that movie. Find some little Asian girl.
Find some little Asian girl.
And get permission to take her up on the roof and put her in a water tank.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we'll get that. We'll get licensed for that lickety split.
Well, I mean, you get all the ghost hunters wanting to check in that motel, so who knows?
There's a lot of YouTube videos, people going and staying in the Cecil, but I don't know if there's any that really caught anything.
About what?
There are YouTube videos of people who have checked into the Cecil Hotel to see if they can capture any creepy goings on. I don't think any of them really catch anything other than the usual sounds and things that may or may not be. It could just be the old building creaking, but no actual real solid evidence of a ghost there.
Let's we hadn't talked about this one. We still have 20 minutes.
Okay.
And this, I'm sure you've heard of it. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what year it took place, and if you were even old enough to pay attention to it. Do you remember the Phoenix Lights?
Yes. Oh, yes. I've got a movie about that. Phoenix Forgotten. Okay. It's a really cool movie based on that. Yeah,
let's watch a.
All right, on to other news this morning. 18-year.
A little. Well, that's pretty short. Let me find one that's got a little bit more detail. But I remember that very clearly. If I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? New documentary. I don't want to watch a documentary. So. Let's see. Here's one. Okay, let's fresh. If you're not familiar with the Phoenix Lights, you're about to be introduced right now. And this was seen by a lot of people.
Light show which turned on the lights, so to speak, for many non-believers, doubters, or people flat out in the dark about UFOs.
On March 13, 1997, while thousands of people were looking skyward purposely for a glimpse of the Hale comet, they also got a glimpse of either these V or Delta or boomerang-shaped orb.
One of those skeptics was Dr. Lynn Keatai.
I am a skeptic, but I saw this up close and personal and captured 35mm photographs of it.
Not content with the government claim that the lights were military flares, she began a 7-year journey to document everything she could find out about those lights.
What I did end up with, after keeping an intricate journal for 7 years with 750 pages of such compelling and credible data.
That journal eventually became this book, which led to a documentary which will be shown this coming Sunday at Scottsdale Harkins Shea Theater.
What's exciting is we also have another doctor who has stayed anonymous for 21 years that was speaking and telling his story.
The screenings sell out every year. Dr. Keatai expects this year to be bigger than ever thanks to a New York Times article documenting a military program to study UFOs, making the Phoenix Lights more important than ever.
The Phoenix Lights are validated as something that could be otherworldly.
I'm Jared Dillingham for Arizona's Family.
So, what do you think of that one? I'm sure you are familiar with that.
Of course, yeah. Like I said, one of my Probably my most favorite UFO movie now is Phoenix Forgotten, which came out a couple of years ago based on that incident. It's a found footage type creepy, probably the scariest UFO movie I've seen. It has some jump scares in it, but they use that actual footage in there when in the flashback scenes. What kills me is some of the explanations that have been given, like the military, the first they say, well, we don't know what it was. We had nothing to do with it. And they come back and say, well, we were having test flights, and just back and forth. And one explanation given, which I laugh at, is it was just a plane going over, a military plane dropping flares. Well, if it was flares, they wouldn't be lighting up one after the other and perfectly in line and just hanging there in the sky. Flares are going to float to the ground, are they not? I mean,
well, if you watch the reports, so many credible people, and they live in Phoenix, so it's like it was not something they were used to seeing. But yet, if the military were using these flares, that would have happened before. Okay, that wouldn't have been a one-time event, and they went. I mean, my God. I know cell phones and that kind of thing were not as big then as they are now, but there was still a lot of film made by individuals of these lights, and it wasn't like they were just over the mountain here,
Yeah. And there were different videos taken, from different people in different locations of those lights. And I see on here, I didn't know this, but it's apparently happened twice again since that. That original, I think, was 96 or around in there. Well, it's happened again in 2007 and 2008. Those lights were seen again over Phoenix. But I remember the governor kind of dismissed it.
He embarrassed himself because he brought some alien out there. He apologized. He apologized for that later.
Yeah, they showed that in the movie Phoenix Forgotten, that footage of that goofy looking alien he brought out, made a joke out of it, and then came back later and said there was something to to the UFO reports, and just a lot of back and forth. Some of these authority figures in Arizona have done with these lights, and nobody will come right out. And the military was, of course, if it's something the military was behind, they're not going to admit to it. They're going to.
Yeah, my thinking on all of this is, again, just it's easy for us to label things, and I remind people, it's like, have you seen a UFO? Yeah, I've seen a UFO, but keep in mind, when you say UFO, you're talking about unidentified flying object.
Yeah, there was one that flew right in front of me earlier on camera.
Yeah,
I think it was a fly, but it could have been an alien. I don't know.
Hey, we don't know how big they are. They could be, yeah. But that's it. We don't, we have to admit, first of all, that we don't know. The problem I think that we have in paranormal research and everything that we're talking about is that we make a lot of assumptions based upon what people a long time ago came up with, and we don't question enough. And a lot of people say, well, you're just a total skeptic. It's like, no, there's something out there. I'm not questioning whether you saw something or not. I'm questioning what it was. You're saying, oh, that was Aunt Sue from 1922. And I'm saying, how do you know? Well, she said it was. Well, a car dealer might lie to you, but you trust a disembodied voice, So, and of course, that goes back to some of my Bible training, where the Bible says that Satan keeps presenting himself as an angel of light. So we've got some thought. I think I think all these preconceived notions that we come up with hinder our progress in learning what's going on, because we think we already know, and I don't think we know. I think we're just assuming a lot of stuff. So is there aliens out there? Well, God's an alien. Angels are aliens. They are. They're not of this planet.
Yeah.
So You see
Look
a
at it that
UFO?
way.
That might be God's ship.
Could be.
What's that? God's flying over the United States because he's kind of PO'd at us right now.
I wanted to pull up that there was one episode of Paranormal Caught on Camera where they had footage of a UFO over the Pentagon. This thing was strange looking. There was no lights. The lights below were reflecting off it. It was a solid, almost pyramid shaped looking thing just rotating. And this is over the Pentagon. And this guy driving by there saw it and filmed it. And I couldn't find it on YouTube just now when I looked for him. But that was really odd. But why wasn't that bigger news? I mean, there's something odd about that.
No.
Yeah, I don't see CNN out there reporting on that. What was? I mean, that should have been a big deal. But yeah, maybe he got hushed up real quick. Can't talk about that now.
Fake news.
Maybe they.
So here's one. Let's watch this one real quick. You talked about the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's watch this real quick.
In the language of the U.S. Department of Defense, these are unidentified aerial phenomena, videos which add fuel to the belief of some that we are not alone. The first incident was filmed off the California coast in 2004, an oval-shaped hovering, and in the words of the Navy pilot who recorded this, not behaving by the normal laws of physics. In 2015, pilots flying off the east coast of America spotted this. Again, its speed and movement apparently astounding the experienced air crew. That same year, racing across the surface of the ocean, something that it took some skill to capture. All of these videos have been leaked in the past, but the US government now confirms they are genuine. In a statement, the Department of Defense said it was releasing the videos in order to clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage that's been circulating was real or whether or not there is more to the video. The aerial phenomena observed in these videos, they say, remain characterized as unidentified. Those who've actually been to space are skeptical about what the videos reveal.
These objects are probably some kind of secret military program, and what each pilot saw were real. They saw them, and they filmed and photographed them, and the Pentagon, I'm assuming, declassified them because there was a lot of speculation going on there. They were already released, so why not come out and say, okay, these films are genuine, they do exist, but we don't know if they are.
Of course, the US has a long history of reported UFO sightings. This image, captured by a couple in Oregon in 1950, regarded as one of the most significant. They were certain this was a UFO. And the Nevada desert continues to attract those who believe, seriously or not, that Area 51 houses crashed alien spacecraft and their occupants. But with the world gripped by more earthbound concerns right now, these videos will, for many, confirm what they've always believed, that the truth is out there.
Rick Mylan, Sky News, Los Angeles.
The truth is out there, Kevin.
I just found that pyramid UFO I was talking.
Okay, all right.
Talking about over the pin. Here, I'll show that one right quick. Alrighty. Here we go.
Oh man, what is this?
This is a fucking alien invasion.
You see it? Where is it? You need the camera. What is this? I mean, what the fuck is that?
Laugh. Have you lost it? Look back. Look back.
I got you, baby. I see it.
Turn right, turn right, turn right. You see it. Can it be like an ancient god? You know, you stupid little things. Slow down, man. Slow down. What?
I guess I'm not seeing anything.
I don't see it. Man, do you see it?
I can see it.
I've heard something on the news, something about Russia, military.
Let me try another video here.
It's Pentagon.
I see it.
Let's see. See if this one's any better. Get past some of this. Here we go. This one's got. Now this one might give an explanation. Now there it is. There, you see that pyramid shape?
Well, I kind of saw that earlier.
Since alien spaceship, I tell you.
This is a different filmer here, so two different people caught it. Look at that thing. It's rotating.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, but just because I must talk.
Oh, here's another video. So this is right over the Pentagon. Hey, there it is there.
Yeah.
Now what the hell is that? I mean, it's like a pyramid in the sky. And now we see here multiple people were catching it.
Yeah, this is a totally different video here. These people are not even moving. They're stationary.
Yeah, and they're outside of vehicles. So I was thinking maybe some kind of reflection.
Well, the other one, that's what I was thinking. I thought that's a reflection in their glass or something.
Yeah. But this thing. And now we got, I didn't know there were other people that caught it on video.
Hmm.
So what is that?
We're being spied on by.
I mean, what? I mean, that would freak me out. I mean, it's like a solid pyramid just rotating in the sky.
Hmm.
What the heck?
The Egyptians are still ruling
crazy.
the world.
That is crazy.
Well, there's a lot of interesting things out there that we would call abnormal, and that's why we do Abnormal Alabama, huh?
Yeah.
The interesting thing about it is Alabama's not the only abnormal place on the planet.
Yeah.
And, boy, I enjoyed what we talked about tonight. We covered a lot of UFO stuff, and a lot of it in Alabama. And we also, that Elisa Lam situation is I'll have dreams about that tonight, trying to figure that out.
Now here's another mystery. Where is Catherine Marie in all this?
Oh, I think they're out car shopping or something for the teenagers.
Oh, okay.
You know, trying to resolve some transportation thing. So yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. But
it is.
I know one thing. Tonight, I'm sure I'm not going to drink any tap water.
You want to take a nice shower?
I probably need to, huh? we take a lot of things for granted, and this is something we could cover in a show coming up. Something to think about between now and next Tuesday, Kevin, is the people that stay in motels and find a dead body under their bed.
Yes, I've seen that.
So they go in, they smell something funky, and they start looking around. And yeah, you've heard that before. So that'd be interesting to find some of those stories.
Yeah, first it was an urban legend, but then I think there's actual reported incident out there that actually happened.
Yeah, and believe me, I mean, I was kind of paying attention to that because some of those stories came out, and I'd be staying in a motel, and I'd always be a little bit skeptical about, go in and also, I don't know how this happened, but I've heard of finding a body in the shower, and it's like, well, don't the maids? It must have happened after the maids cleaned the room. So, yeah. But yeah, we can look up some of those stories just to find some interesting and strange things to talk about here on Abnormal Alabama. Folks, join us on Facebook, Abnormal Alabama. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And by the way, I've had a lot of new subscribers the last week or so on Abnormal Alabama. And Kevin still likes subscribers over at My Haunted Dolls, Kevin Kane.
Yeah, I'm up to 1190 right now, or no, 1090 right now.
He's rocking and rolling. Boy, it took forever to get you over 1,000, but we got you there. So what's your latest book about? You're down to the last little bit.
Yeah, My Haunted Collection. It's a secret. I had a book, My Haunted Collection, that came out 4 years ago. This one is My Haunted Collection: The Dark Side.
The Dark Side.
It tells about the creepier, dark, items with darker history behind them. And I'm on the last chapter I wanted to do for the book, which is kind of a bonus chapter that tells about hair-raising experience I had on an investigation that I thought would be fitting in a book about dark ghost stories, So yeah.
That would be your 12th book. You can find them on Amazon.com.
So.
But if you go to myhauntedDolls.com, there's two things that take place when you order directly from Kevin. One is he makes more money when you buy directly from him. And two is that he will personally autograph your book if you buy directly from him. If you get it from Amazon, let's be real, there's no events taking place right now, so you're not going to see him at some cosplay show or something. You're going to have to wait. But get your books. I've got mine, datingthedead.com. You can learn about my interesting compilation of stories about people having relationships with ghosts and even religion, like the Mormons and whatnot, and how they have these different beliefs about dealing with dead people. There's one culture in Indonesia that actually digs up their dead once a year, cleans the body, dresses them up, and rebuilds the coffins, and they spend time with them. So, and then, of course, they're right down Kevin's alley is the ones that marry their dolls. So, with that in mind, stay tuned, folks. Who knows? Maybe we'll have Kevin getting married soon.
Maybe I already am.
Oh, yeah. He's married. He's got 300 wives. He's got a harem.
Bunch of concubines.
Concubines. All right, guys. Have a wonderful, blessed night, folks. And remember, it's always the darkest right before it goes pitch black. See you next week.